This is untold Black history, not because the knowledge was lost, but because it was buried. Here are 6 Black men who built power quietly and threatened the system. Most people have never heard of Alonzo Herndon, but every successful Black person should. Born enslaved in 1858 in rural Georgia, with no money, almost no schooling, and no inheritance. He became Atlanta's first Black millionaire and one of the wealthiest Black businessmen in the United States, and he built it all from the ground up. Here's what they never teach. As a teenager, Alonzo walked out of his hometown on foot with about $11, traveling miles across Georgia just to find someone who would hire a Black boy. He used those first small earnings to learn the barber trade, invest in his own tools, and step out of field work forever. By around 20, he owned his first barbershop in a small Georgia town. Within a couple of decades, he moved to Atlanta and built Crystal Palace, a luxury barbershop so elite that white businessmen, judges, and politicians lined up for service. And paid premium rates. He used to quietly buy house after house and property after property across Atlanta. But his real masterpiece was Atlanta Life Insurance Company, born from a tiny, struggling mutual aid society he bought for a little over $100 and then backed with a $5,000 deposit to meet Georgia's new insurance laws. Under his leadership, Atlanta Life became one of the most important Black-owned financial institutions in the country, a company with tens of thousands of Black policyholders and operations across the South. A family economic system that trained Black agents in wealth, dignity, discipline, and professionalism, a quiet engine of Black homeownership, education, and business investment. As part of the financial backbone Black families relied on during the Jim Crow and Great Migration era. Herndon didn't just make himself wealthy, he built infrastructure so Black families could protect their futures in a world designed to strip it away. Meet Philip Payton Jr., a visionary who transformed Harlem into a thriving cultural hub. Born in 1876 in Newark, New Jersey, Payton's parents owned a barbershop. He grew up witnessing the struggles of his community for decent housing. Payton moved to New York to seek his fortune. Inspired by the lack of quality homes for Black residents, he set out to change the narrative. With limited access to traditional financing, Payton leveraged personal savings and raised capital from friends and family. Soon this ambitious young man opened an office and advertised his services. In 1904, he founded the Afro-American Realty Company, becoming one of the first African-American real estate brokers. Payton's transformed Harlem into a vibrant cultural and business hub. He fostered a sense of pride among Black residents, creating quality housing that reflected their aspirations and needs. Despite facing significant racial discrimination, Payton had amassed an estimated net worth of $1 million. Philip Payton Jr. laid the groundwork for the Harlem Renaissance by transforming the neighborhood into a safe haven for Black Americans. Which number shows power without permission? Tell us in the comments. Robert Reed Church was born in 1839 in Mississippi to a white steamboat captain and an enslaved Black seamstress. Despite being born into slavery, he worked as a cabin boy on his father's steamboat where he gained invaluable business skills. He survived a steamboat sinking in 1855. Then, during the Civil War, worked on a Union steamer. After the war, Church settled in Memphis, opening a saloon and investing in real estate. He seized opportunities during the yellow fever epidemic, buying properties at depressed prices. During the Memphis race riot of 1866, Church was shot while defending his property from a white mob. Undeterred, he vowed to stay in Memphis and rebuild. As one of the South's first Black millionaires, during the Panic of 1907, he stopped a run on his bank by displaying stacks of money in the windows. He invested in his community by building Church's Park and Auditorium, a cultural hub for African Americans. Highly respected, Robert Reed Church left a legacy of empowerment for future generations. Charles Richard Patterson was born into slavery in Virginia in 1833. Escaping to Ohio, he became a skilled blacksmith, laying the groundwork for a future family legacy. In 1873, Patterson partnered with J.P. Lowe to start a carriage business. By 1893, he bought out Lowe's share, becoming the sole owner of C.R. Patterson and Sons, employing an integrated workforce of 35 to 50 craftsmen. After Charles's passing in 1910, his son Frederick took over. With vision and determination, Frederick transitioned the company from carriages to automobiles, launching the Patterson Greenfield car in 1915. As the automobile industry evolved, the company shifted focus to bus and truck manufacturing, securing contracts with school boards and transit companies across the Midwest. Frederick's son, Postel Patterson, continued the family tradition into the Great Depression until industry changes and discriminatory banking practices left them without access to necessary financing. Still, their legacy remains an inspiration. In 1812, a baby boy was born who would defy the racial barriers of his time. This is the story of Martin Robinson Delaney, known as the father of black nationalism. His father, Samuel, a skilled enslaved carpenter, purchased his freedom in 1823 after refusing to be whipped. His mother, Patty, a free seamstress of royal African heritage, risked everything to illegally teach her children to read. At 19, Delaney walked 160 miles to Pittsburgh for further education. He studied Latin, Greek, and medicine. In 1843, Delaney founded Pittsburgh's first black newspaper. He later joined Frederick Douglass to produce the North Star. In 1850, he became one of 3 black students admitted to Harvard Medical School, though after 3 weeks they were dismissed due to protest from white students. He returned to Pittsburgh and practiced medicine, even recruiting black doctors and nurses to treat patients during the 1854 cholera outbreak when white doctors fled the city. Delaney met with President Lincoln to propose a black corps led by black officers. Lincoln was so impressed, Delaney became the first black field officer in the U.S. Army. He argued in his influential 1852 book that true freedom required self-reliance and solidarity among black people. In 1823 Philadelphia, Mifflin Wister Gibbs was born free in a city buzzing with abolitionists and big dreams. As a young man, he traveled with Frederick Douglass on an anti-slavery speaking tour, learning that words and knowledge were weapons for freedom. After Gibbs moved west to San Francisco during the Gold Rush, there, he co-founded Mirror of the Times, the first black newspaper on the Pacific Coast, using the press to fight racist laws and inspire his community. Chasing bigger stakes, he joined the California Gold Rush, not to dig, but to sell what the miners needed. Racist taxes and laws tried to shut him down. White mobs even threatened to burn his shop. Instead, Gibbs doubled his supply business, turned a profit, and inspired black settlers to own. California turned toxic. Gibbs didn't beg for rights. He led hundreds north to Vancouver Island, British Columbia. In Victoria, he opened new stores, invested in mining, and helped build schools, churches, and even a black militia. Then he made history, elected to Victoria City Council in 1866, the first black person to hold public office in British Columbia. He proved black power could cross borders and shape a colony's future. With a fortune built abroad, Gibbs returned to America. This time, he didn't just own businesses, he studied law. In Arkansas, he made history as the first black elected municipal judge in the United States. Unheard of in the post-slavery South, he used the bench to protect black property rights and settle disputes fairly when few dared. Gibbs turned every racist blockade into a new venture, owning what he built. He invested profits in land and mining, stayed debt-free, and mentored young black businessmen. He didn't wait for freedom. He made a way, creating a blueprint for others to follow. When Gibbs passed at 92, he left proof that wealth, respect, and power don't beg for permission. Some called him a man who ran from a fight. He called it smart resistance, building freedom where it was possible. In your eyes, was he running away or fighting smart? Share your thoughts in the comments. That's Untold Black History, not just random facts and dates, but true American history. Uncover more of our real stories by clicking the next list on the screen.